On October 7th, 2024, just after lunch on a humid Tuesday afternoon, a frustrated Camry owner pulled into my shop with a folded estimate clenched in his hand and a story I had heard 100 times before. 2 days earlier, his battery had died in a parking lot. A roadside assistance tech jump started the car and sent him on his way. By the time he got home, every window in the car had stopped working the way it used to. The auto-up function was gone. The auto-down function was gone. Every window now required him to hold the switch until the glass crawled to where he wanted it. He went straight to the Toyota dealership the next morning, where a service writer typed a few things into a computer and handed him a quote. Window control module reinitialization. Diagnostic time, labor, tax. The total was a little over $200. He did not argue. He did not push back. He just felt the same quiet, sinking feeling thousands of other Toyota owners feel every single week. Today, I am revealing why that exact problem has nothing to do with a broken module, why it costs the dealership less than nothing to fix, and why almost every Toyota built in the last 20 years has a hidden recalibration sequence that takes about 30 seconds to perform with your bare hands. I have done this fix in my own driveway more times than I can count. I have watched customers do it on the curb in front of my shop while their kids waited in the back seat. The procedure is in the owner's manual of nearly every modern Toyota, buried in a paragraph almost nobody reads. And once you know it, you will never pay a dealer to touch your power windows again. Here is what is really happening when this problem shows up. Modern Toyota windows are not the dumb up and down motors of the 1990s. Every window in your car has its own tiny brain. The motor is paired with a position sensing system that counts revolutions, monitors current draw, and learns exactly where the top of the glass meets the rubber seal and exactly where the bottom of the glass sits inside the door. That learned memory is what makes one-touch operation possible. When you tap the switch, the window does not just spin until it hits something. It runs to a precise position the system has already mapped. That is why it stops gracefully at the top instead of slamming into the frame. That is why anti-pinch protection works when a finger or a jacket gets in the way. That is why the glass can pause and reverse if it senses unusual resistance. But that learned memory lives on volatile data. The instant power is cut, even for a few seconds, that memory can vanish. A dead battery can cause it. A jump start can cause it. A battery replacement can cause it. Even a loose terminal connection during a winter cold snap can cause it. Some Toyotas lose the calibration when a fuse is pulled. Some lose it when the door wiring harness is briefly disconnected for speaker work or mirror replacement. The motor itself is fine. The switch is fine. The wiring is fine. The car simply forgot where the top and bottom of the window are, and until you tell it again, it refuses to run in auto mode because it does not trust its own measurements. This is why the symptoms look so dramatic. The window goes up an inch and stops. The window goes down 2 inches and freezes. You hit auto up and the glass climbs to the top, then immediately drops back down 1/3 of the way as if something invisible is fighting you. Drivers panic. They assume the motor is dying. They assume the switch is broken. They assume the regulator is on its way out. None of that is happening. The car is in a protective mode designed to prevent damage when the system has lost its reference points. It would rather refuse to operate than smash itself against a frame it cannot see. Now here is where it gets uncomfortable. The dealer knows this, the technician knows this. The service writer who hands you the estimate either knows this or works in a system that does not reward telling you. The procedure to fix it is printed by Toyota itself in service bulletins going back decades. It exists in the owner's manual of nearly every Camry, Corolla, RAV4, Highlander, Tacoma, Tundra, Sequoia, Sienna, 4Runner, Avalon, Venza, and Prius built in the last 20 years. It does not require a scan tool. It does not require dealer software. It does not require a single component to be removed or replaced. The reinitialization line item on that estimate is, in most cases, a technician sitting in your driver's seat for less than a minute holding a switch. This is the same pattern I have talked about before. Modern cars are loaded with self-learning systems, and when those systems lose their reference data, dealers bill the recovery as if it were a major repair. Window calibration, steering angle reset, throttle relearn, transmission adaptation. They all sound impressive on an invoice. They all cost almost nothing to perform. And they all assume the customer has no idea the procedure even exists. The procedure itself is almost insultingly simple. I am going to walk you through it for the most common late-model Toyotas, and then I will cover the variations for older models because Toyota changed the steps slightly across generations. Sit in the driver's seat, insert the key, and turn the ignition to the on position. If you have a push-button start, press the start button without holding the brake. You should see the dashboard lights come on, but the engine should not be running. The system needs power, not combustion. Now, go to the window that is acting up. We will start with the driver's window because it is the master, but the same procedure works for every door. Press the window switch fully down and hold it. The glass will travel all the way to the bottom of the door. Do not release the switch when the window stops moving. Keep holding it. Count out loud if you have to. 1001, 1002. Hold for at least 2 full seconds after the window has reached the bottom. You may hear a soft click or a small mechanical tick from inside the door. That is the system registering the lower limit. Release the switch. Wait 1 second. Now pull the same switch fully up and hold it. The window will rise all the way to the top and seat against the rubber seal. Do not release. Keep holding the switch up for at least 2 seconds after the glass has stopped moving. Some Toyotas prefer 3 seconds. Some prefer a full 5 seconds. Holding longer never hurts. Holding too short causes the procedure to fail. You may hear another faint click as the upper limit registers. That is it. Release the switch. Test the auto function. Tap the switch fully down and let go. The window should travel all the way to the bottom on its own. Tap it fully up and let go. The window should travel all the way to the top on its own. If both directions work, the calibration is restored. If you have multiple affected windows, repeat the same procedure at each individual door switch. Some older models, particularly mid-2000s Avalons and Sequoias, prefer that you reset the rear windows first using their own door switches before resetting the master controls in the driver's door. If the universal procedure fails, try that order. Rear right, rear left, front right, front left. There are a few moments where the reset will not take on the first attempt, and this is where most people give up too early. If you release the switch a fraction too soon, the system did not register the limit and you have to start over. If the window stopped on a piece of debris, an old leaf trapped in the channel, or a frozen patch of weather stripping, the motor logged a false bottom, and you need to clear the obstruction first. If the battery in your car is still weak from whatever event caused the problem in the first place, voltage may sag during the procedure and corrupt the new calibration as fast as you create it. Charge the battery, run the engine for 15 minutes if you can, and then try again. Patience is everything here. I have had cars take 3 attempts before the system locked in. That is normal. It does not mean the car is broken. There are also genuine mechanical failures that look like calibration problems, and you need to know the difference. If the window will not move at all in any direction, that is not a calibration issue. That is usually a switch, a fuse, or a motor. If the window moves but groans, grinds, or chatters as it travels, the regulator is failing, and no reset on Earth will save it. If the glass tilts in the frame or drops slightly inside the door when you let go, the regulator clips have likely broken. Resets fix data. They do not fix hardware. But the data problem is so common after any battery event that it is almost always worth trying the reset first before assuming anything is mechanically wrong. 30 seconds of your time can save you a 4-figure repair quote. What bothers me about this situation is not even the dealer pricing. Shops have to make money. Service departments have overhead. I get it. What bothers me is the framing. When a customer is told a window control module needs to be reinitialized, the assumption baked into that sentence is that something complicated, technical, and beyond the customer's ability is happening behind the scenes. The customer pictures laptops, scan tools, and proprietary software. They picture a trained technician executing a procedure that requires expertise. None of that is true. The procedure is the customer holding a button for a few seconds in a particular order. Toyota engineers designed it to be performed by the owner. The fact that it has been turned into a billable service is a quiet betrayal of that design intent. And this is part of a much bigger pattern that anyone who works on modern cars sees every single day. So many of the problems drivers panic about are not failures. They are calibrations. They are adaptations. They are learned behaviors that lost their reference data and now need a brief, deliberate reset to come back to life. Battery replacement throws transmissions out of sync until the shift adaptation relearns. A jump start scrambles steering angle sensors until the system is recalibrated. A blown fuse erases the seat memory positions. A dead key fob battery causes the smart entry system to forget which fob it trusts. Dealers can quote real money for every one of these things. Owners with a little knowledge can fix most of them in their driveway in under a minute. The Toyota window reset is one of the cleanest examples because it is so visible. You can see the problem with your own eyes, you can perform the fix with your own hands, and you can verify the result on the spot, so it is easy to verify. There is no ambiguity, no test drive, no ECU log to interpret. Either the window goes up on its own when you tap the switch, or it does not. That immediate feedback is what makes this such a useful skill to have. Once you have done it once, you will never forget it. The next time someone in your life has the same problem, you can walk them through it over the phone. Before you authorize a repair, before you sign that estimate, before you hand over your card to a service writer who is following a script, take 30 seconds, sit in the driver's seat, turn the key on, hold the switch down, and hold it up. Hold each motion 2 seconds past the stop. Test the auto function. If it works, you just saved yourself $200 and learned something most Toyota owners will never know. If it does not work, you have lost nothing except half a minute, and now you have real information to bring to the conversation. The dealership cannot tell you the calibration failed if you have already proven the calibration cannot be restored. That is the whole point of these videos. Not to make you afraid of mechanics, not to convince you every shop is dishonest. Most are not. The point is to put information back in your hands so the conversations you have at the service counter are based on knowledge instead of fear. A driver who understands what their car is actually doing makes better decisions, asks better questions, and refuses to spend money on problems that do not exist. The dealership relies on the gap between what they know and what you know. Every video like this one closes that gap by another inch. If this saved you from a $200 invoice, hit the like button so more Toyota owners can find it before they sign one. Subscribe if you want more of these breakdowns, because I have a list of free resets, hidden procedures, and quiet calibrations that the average driver has no idea exist. Leave a comment telling me which Toyota you drive and whether the reset worked on your first attempt or your third. Those comments help other owners more than you realize, because every model year is slightly different, and the more data we gather in one place, the better. The most expensive thing in the service drive is not the part on the invoice. It is the assumption that you cannot do it yourself. Now you know better.